In Milwaukee on Wednesday, the Brewers were trying to cool off the Oakland A's, who've gotten hot again after a brief losing streak last week. Let's see what happened. This is Mark McGwire. And that's the reason that he won Rookie of the Year honors last year. Home runs like that. He had 49 last year. He has 13 so far this year. He had never homered in County Stadium before. And, of course, at that point, it was a 4-0 Oakland Athletics lead. Now watch as the ball gets by the Milwaukee catcher. Another run comes in. You get the idea. Oakland wins it by a score of 6-2. Dave Stewart is now 6-0 lifetime against Milwaukee. As you see, that is a very impressive record. In Minnesota, the Angels were looking for their 7th win in a row, but they had to face this man, Frank Viola, who was looking for his 11th win of the season. Viola against Brian Downing. Goodbye. Strikeout. 3-hitter for Viola on the day. He's 8-0 at the Homer Dome. Bottom of the second, Darrell Miller behind the plate for the Angels. Can't handle Willie Frazier's pitch. That allows Gary Gaetti to score. 1-zip Twins. Then, in the bottom of the third, John Moses looking for insurance runs. Lines one down the right field line. Scoring Al Newman. Moses would later score after the double. And the Twins win by a score of 3-1. They trail Oakland now by 6 games in the AL West. Third place, Kansas City, was in Chicago trying to stay within shouting distance of the 8th. White Sox jumped on the board in the first. Danny Pasqua line drive deep to right center. It short hops the wall. Goes for a double. Harold Baines scores 3-0 Chi Sox after 1. Top of the second, though, the Royals answer back. Mike McFarland laces a double down the the first base line. That scores Tabler, or the third base line, I'm sorry. 2 in the second. Anyway, it was 3-3 game. Top of the fourth, Royals benefit from some miscues. Tabler hits a slow chopper. Lyons throws it away. Around third comes Frank White. A little indecisive, but he makes it. 4-3 KC. Stay that way to the bottom of the 8th. Harold Baines hits a liner to left off Steve Farr. Tabler goes back. Can't get it. That was a weak attempt. Must have lost it in the lights. Rita scores the tie at 4 at the bottom of the 9th. Darrell Boston slaps one to the gap in left center. It's a tweener. Boston shows his speed as he cruises into third. That's the leadoff triple, so you got to walk the bases loaded. And then Mark Salas lifts one, well, deep enough. Tabler never should even reach for this because he looked silly. He dropped the ball anyway, but it wouldn't have mattered even if he caught it. Chicago gets the win by a score of 5-4. In Texas Wednesday night, the Seattle Mariners were trying to break a club record 14-game losing streak on the road. And Bobby Valentine was looking for some runs for his Ranger team. They had the bases loaded in the 6th, but Larry Parrish is fanned by Mike Jackson. Texas did manage to tie it at 2 on a sac fly, and now they have runners on the corners in the 8th, and James Steele whiffs to end the rally. Top of the 10th, Mickey Brantley is up in a 2-2 game for Seattle, and he gets the pitch that he can handle from Jose Guzman, sends it out of the park into the darkness. Guzman can't believe it. The Mariners can't either. They break a 9-game losing streak and a 14.
Tom West with Headline Sports. The defending division champion Tigers have taken 3 in a row from the Yankees to take control of the American League East. With 1 out in the bottom of the 10th, Luis Salazar found the gap for a long single to chase home Tom Brookins from second, giving Detroit a 3-2 win, a series sweep, and a 2.5-game lead over New York. Boston was after its 5th win in a row, but in the 8th inning, Julio Franco put Cleveland ahead with a solo homer, his 6th consecutive hit over the last 2 games. Leading 3-1 in the 9th, the Indians called on reliever Doug Jones. He registered his 13th save in as many appearances, tying the Major League record set by the Phillies' Steve Bedrosian last year. Almost 42,000 fans sought shelter in the Metrodome from Minnesota's soaring afternoon temperatures and saw Twins pitcher Frank Viola win his 11th, snapping the Angels' 6-game winning streak. The A's finished a 3-game sweep of the Brewers. The Blue Jays beat the Orioles. Seattle ended a 9-game losing skid. And in Chicago, the game was tied in the bottom of the 9th. No one out and the bases loaded. Kansas City's Pat Tabler tried to chase down a deep drive from Mark Salas. Darrell Boston scored easily. The White Sox won 5-4. In the National League, St. Louis continues to slide. Montreal's Nelson Santavania doubled home 2 here in the 4th in the Expos 6-2 victory. The Cards have lost 10 of their last 12, and they put first baseman Bob Horner on the 15-day disabled list Wednesday. He'll undergo exploratory surgery Monday to find out what's wrong with his ailing left shoulder. Ex-Red Buddy Bell struck back at his old teammates. This 2-run double by the Houston third baseman broke open a tie game in the 8th inning and triggered the Astros' 5-1 win. The Phillies down the Cubs,
leaving Yankee manager Billy Martin so enraged, Billy the Kid, actually he's a grandpa, attacked the post-game buffet table in the clubhouse, and it wasn't because the spread didn't agree with him. Tonight, Martin was looking to salvage the final game of the series and get out of town without doing any more damage. Game tied in the 3rd when Ricky Henderson jumped on Frank Tanana's pitch and sent it flying. It banged off the facade to power New York in front. Henderson back after missing 3 games with ankle problems, left later after fouling a ball off his foot. Yankees carried that 1-run lead to the 6th when Alan Trammell grounded a 2-hopper that fooled Randy Velarde. So that put 2 on and got Martin's attention. This did also. 1 batter later, Larry Herndon went with John Candelaria's pitch, singled softly to right, but it did the job, tied the game. Then the rain held things up, and they went to the 10th inning when they finally resumed. Top of the 10th, still tied. The bottom of the 10th, Tom Brookins at second. 1 out when Luis Salazar lifts one to the wall, past the drawn-in outfield. Meanwhile, to Cleveland, where the surging Red Sox were tied, hooked up in a duel with the Indians. Then, runner on first. Base hit by Mike Greenwell. There goes Dwight Evans going for it. Corey Snyder, don't try it. Snyder leads the American League with 10 assists. What a gun there. Out by a mile. Still tied to the bottom of the 8th. Oil Can Boyd facing Julio Franco. Who's going to crack here? It's the pitcher this time. And the duel is over. Franco skies one out. Cleveland leads it 2-1. They call to the bullpen. On comes Doug Jones and fans Todd Benzinger to lock it down. He eclipses Sparky Lyle's American League save record.
In the West, the Kansas City Royals have cooled their jets of late after making a big run at West leading Oakland in early June. They had dropped 4 consecutive games before winning in Chicago last night. Well, what happened tonight? Exciting action. It's tied up at 4-all. Willie Wilson at the plate, and he will single just past shortstop Ozzie Guillen. Pinch runner Bill Pecota tries to score, but Gary Reedus comes up firing, and he throws him out from shallow left. Karkabis hangs on and makes a good tag, so they're still tied up at 4, heading to the bottom of the 9th. That was the top of the 9th. Bases loaded for Mark Salas, who flies to left field. Left fielder Pat Tabler will drop the ball, and Darrell Boston scores.
Pittsburgh this week got to play the division-leading Mets for the first time this season. But heading into today's getaway game of the series, the reports were inconclusive. They'd split the first 2. And here's a fan who brought a fan. What a cool idea. Between drops of sweat on a suffocating day in New York, a crowd of over 41,000 saw Mackie Sasser lash a Mike Dunn changeup down the line. The double followed Howard Johnson's double, drove him in, and got the Mets on the scoreboard. 1-0. Later, Dwight Gooden pitched out of a bases-loaded jam. Next inning, Pirates put 2 on. Bobby Bonilla worked the count full. Then Gooden fed him a lazy curve and was out of the danger zone, while Bonilla swore it was out of the strike zone. Pittsburgh couldn't crack through, even here when Hojo went diving to snag this liner off Dunn's bat. Gooden and 2 relievers spaced 11 hits to sweltering Philadelphia. 130 on the field and a picture of home field advantage. Fans in the Philly dugout goes full blast. Over on the Cubs side, slow motion. But things were going double speed out on the field when in the 4th, Phillies emergency starter Mike Maddox took a shot in the right elbow, off Vance Law's smash, but a good hop to Mike Schmidt, the room service put out. To the bottom of the 6th, Phillies ahead 3-2 for Schmidt, who drives one into the gap in right center. Von Hayes comes charging around with the eventual winning run for Schmidt, a double and 2 RBIs, tying him with Willie Stargell for 23rd on the all-time RBI list. And the Phillies beat Chicago. Tonight in Montreal, visiting Cardinals got a 2-out walk and a stolen base from Tom Bruneski. Then Tony Pena grounded to first, handcuffed Andre Galarraga. He tried to find the handle, scooped one in the general direction of first for the error that broke the seal on the scoring. St. Louis led 2-1, then in the bottom of the 4th. Expos got a couple on. Nelson Santovania fought off Joe McGrain's pitch, hewed one down the line, and both the tying and lead runs bolted home, and Montreal was in front for good. And for some icing, look at shortstop Luis Rivera with a big chase. The even smoother slide, and the basket catch to flag down a pop foul that had Bryn Smith smiling. He sat down and watched Joe Hesketh.
And now the National West, where the Dodgers still have control, but there remains a host of contenders out there. Nobody wants to win it. 2 of those contenders going head-to-head in Houston. The Astros hosting the Reds, and it was a tight one, boy. Look at this. Kevin Bass at the plate. Bass will fly one to deep left field in the bottom of the 6th. Lloyd McClendon comes up to make the play, but he drops it out here. I think he heard footsteps coming from center field. Anyway, the throw from Barry Larkin is on target, and Chris Sabo applies the tag. Great defensive play, a good recovery job by the entire defense, and it's still tied at 1. Bottom of the 8th, Buddy Bell, the former Red, comes back home to haunt these guys. Deep to left field, just out of the reach of McClendon. Glenn Davis scores, Kevin Bass scores, as Bell ends up with a 2 RBI double. 3-1 Astros there. They had a couple more for some insurance, and they win it by a final count of 5-1. Nepper and Augusto teaming up.
Show you how the Dodgers play the Braves. Now, Don Sutton pitching for L.A., 3rd inning, 2 on, nobody out for Atlanta. Naylor grounds back to Sutton off the glove. Don's got to hurry. Never should have thrown the ball. Didn't have a play. What does he do? He throws it away. Two-base error on Sutton, and two Brave runners score. It is 2-0 Atlanta. Albert Hall is the next batter. Singles to right. Mike Marshall comes on in, and he overruns the baseball. The Dodgers are in first place, looking weak. Then Ken Obertfeld is up. An easy out with a foul ball, right? Mike Socia, Franklin Stubbs. These are the first place Dodgers. Mailer's pitching was first rate, if not in first place. Bottom of the ninth, and Mailer strikes Kurt Gibson out looking. Rick Mailer and the Atlanta Braves beat the first place LA Dodgers by a score of 4-1. Meanwhile, in Houston, the second place Astros looking to gain ground on the Dodgers. No score, bottom of the fourth. Rafael Ramirez with a base hit to center. Glenn Davis comes around third. Play at the plate. He is safe. 1-0 Houston. Now, Bob Nepper on the hill for the Astros. In the sixth, he gives up the single to Dave Concepcion, knocking in Nick Yasowski, and the game is tied at 1. Buddy Bell, the former Red, though, in the eighth for the Astros. His new team, line drive, left center field. Back it goes. Off the wall. Glenn Davis scores. Kevin Bass rounds third. He scores. Buddy Bell has found a new home in Houston. They love him. Pete Rose and the Reds, well, they made the trade. They got to live with it now. Houston over the Reds by a score of 5-1. At Candlestick Wednesday afternoon, the Giants and the Padres winding up a series. Top of the third, Carmelo Martinez connecting off Lee Hammaker. Third homer of the year. The Padres led it 5-1. But naturally, the Giants come back on the strength of Will Clark. Here he cranks an Ed Whitson pitch deep to right, over the fence for a 3-run homer, his 17th of the year. That made it 5-4 San Diego. The Padres took a 7-4 lead into the ninth, but with one run in and the bases loaded, Will Clark double into the right field corner. 1 run scores. 2 runs score. Here comes the third runner. He is safe, and the game is over just like that. 7 RBIs for Will Clark, and a win for the Giants, 8-7, salvaging a game out of that series. Well, for a couple of years now, all we've been hearing about Dwight Gooden is that he's unbeatable at night, but not much better than pretty good in the daytime. Well, Friday night, Gooden was beaten by the Phillies. That's at night. Wednesday afternoon, Gooden went for his 5th straight daytime victory against the Pittsburgh Pirates. You may not know it, but Gooden has been great under the sun. No score, bottom of the second. Mackie Sasser drills this Mike Dunn breaking pitch into right. Sid Bream, rather, goes past Bream, and Howard Johnson scores 1-0 Mets. Dwight Gooden was in top form. Watch what he does here to Bobby Bonilla to end the Pirate threat in the top of the 5th. Oh, that ought to be illegal. 6 strikeouts for Dr. K. Mets did it with the leather, too. Howard Johnson with a rare appearance at short, robbing Mike Dunn with a diving catch, still 1-0 Mets. In the 7th, Dave Magadan singles to right off Bob Kipper. Kevin McReynolds comes in to score. Mets with their 2nd shutout in less than 24 hours. In fact, they lead the majors with 13 shutouts as a staff, and they've had shutouts in 3 of their last 4 games. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, the Phillies were hot against the Cubs. Everybody was hot. 130-degree temperature on the AstroTurf. Top of the 1st, Rafael Palmeiro on 2nd, and Mark Grace gives Chicago a 2-0 lead on this 2-run dinger. Phillies, though, come to bat in the 4th, trailing only 2-1, and they single Rick Sutcliffe to death. Chris James with a 3rd straight single in the inning scores Von Hayes. We're tied at 2. And still, in the 6th, Mike Schmidt. He'll double to the gap in right center. Von Hayes scores again. Schmidt's 34th RBI. He ties Willie Stargell now on the all-time RBI list. He's 23rd on the list. It's 5-2 Philly. With the score 5-3 Philly, top of the 9th, 1 man on. Andre Dawson hits what could be a home run, but no. Milt Thompson makes the catch. It wouldn't have been a homer. It would have been extra bases. Thompson makes the catch. The Phillies beat Chicago 5-3. In Montreal, the Expos got out the brooms against the Cards. Top of the 4th, Tom Brunansky on 2nd, Tony Pena. Grounds won the 1st. Andres Galarraga can't handle it, then throws it away. Brunansky comes in, 1-0 Cards. Bottom of the 4th, Expos, though, have 2 men on. Nelson Santovina rips one down the right field line. Brunansky comes over and waits for the ball. He waits for it. 2-run score while he's waiting. Expos take a 3-2 lead. Bottom of the 6th, Expos leading 4-2. Tim Wallach at 3rd. Luis Rivera with a squeeze. Joe McGrain throws that wild. Wallach scores. Expos win at 6-2. And they sweep the St. Louis Cardinals 1-2-3.